want your calls on this. Would you trust a man in your life that you're in a relationship with to take the pill? It's a big spread in the Sun's health section today. It's a trial of 200 couples that's currently underway testing a male contraceptive. It comes in the form of a gel and is rubbed on the gent's shoulders each morning. Do you think this could work for you? Could it work in your relationship? Give us a call, 0207 862 2222, and we'll speak to you in just a moment. Wilfred, would you be happy to take the contraceptive every day?
Would I help any woman, any woman who is crazy enough to trust it down to the men? I just think it's a recipe for disaster.
But why would you trust a woman then?
Because ultimately, she's the one that will be responsible. And the men, you know, you could have the best, you could have the best intention in the world. One morning you forget, or a couple you forget, and then suddenly, you know, she's pregnant, and then she's the one that's then left with having to make a sort of decision. So there's certain things you just say should not go near men at all.
But I suppose if you look at it the other way round, shouldn't men take responsibility for themselves in a way that, like, this is a great opportunity? They don't have to rely on women anymore. They can actually decide, you know, I don't want babies, I'm not going to leave that into somebody else's hand to make those decisions, or remember to take the pill. I actually have the ability to curb it myself, and that's a fantastic thing.
I think this is great, and actually I would trust my husband to rub this gel in to stop him producing. I think the science is amazing. It basically lowers your sperm count, and when below a certain level, below a million. Who knew that below a million you couldn't get a woman pregnant? But I didn't know that. But what's really interesting about this trial, and it's worked. The spread that this gentleman
seems to be working.
Mr. Glastonbury, every morning he does his teeth and he puts the gel on, and it's working. And they've already got 2 kids. They don't want any more. But what's really interesting is that when women were polled about whether they would be up for their partner taking the contraception, I think 80-something% said yes.
70% said yes.
But then when they found that it wasn't a pill and that it was gel, the numbers went down of women sort of being trusting. I mean, I think it's context. I think if I were in my 20s and I was still young, free and single, I perhaps would not be trusting on a. I mean, Paris thought if I ever had a hookup, I don't know what the young people call it these days.
You've aged yourself now.
I don't think I would be trusting. I think I would still absolutely use a condom.
Okay, but
in a relationship, a committed relationship, then between, you know, I think you have to trust people on all sorts of things in relationships. So I think this is a great innovation.
But that is the interesting part here. You know, when you're in a relationship, it is a different dynamic. When you're dating, maybe you're seeing someone for a couple of weeks, or should you ever trust the other person, regardless of gender?
Well, I like the point what you were saying earlier on, actually, is that it's a way for men to take responsibility of not making someone pregnant. So men saying, actually, I don't want to...
Children. I'm not going to trust you completely.
I'm not going to trust it. This is a way that I could... So I would accept it in that basis, that actually...
Because actually, I remember when I was younger, when I was working abroad, there was one lady who was quite a bit older than me who actually set out to get pregnant.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
And actually, sometimes it happens by accident. One of my close friends, I'll not mention your name, forgot to take... I don't think she forgot, actually. I think she had a stomach bug for a couple of days and didn't take the pill. But she was on holiday and she thought, oh, this is not going to make any difference. She's taken it for like 20 years or however long. I mean, for forever. Yeah, I mean,
she got pregnant.
The baby arrived, and it was an absolute bundle of joy. They went on to have more, and it was just the starting of their family was perhaps a little earlier than they had.
It gives men choice.
Well, exactly.
So that's what I like.
I think it does give men choice, and also I don't see why it should always be just women who have to take the responsibility for contraception. I mean, contraception, you know, it's introduced in the 1960s. It's brilliant. It emancipated us. It allowed us to, you know, go back to work. It allowed us to have careers. It's been absolutely brilliant. So I think in this equitable 21st century, it's right that there should be equity on contraception.
Do let us know what you think about this. 0207 862 2222. Is this a recipe for disaster, or actually is this a great new thing for men, potentially? Vicky's written on Facebook saying, my partner has the memory of a goldfish. Half the time he forgets to take his diabetic medication. Oof, there's no way I'd trust him. He'd magically remember... No way I'd trust him. He'd magically remember to take a contraceptive. I suppose I wonder whether, as a society, we believe that that's gendered or not, because I think it changes from relationship to relationship. But we seem to have constructed this like hapless man caricature.
It's like
Do you
Mr.
think
Pig.
that it's true that men are less likely to be able to remember this stuff than women?
Well, they are,
biology?
unless they are motivated. You know, if there's a motivation, there's no way that I want to have kids, I don't want to start a family. They will be motivated to be putting that gel on. And so that's why throughout this debate I've reversed my thinking. I just
okay.
That actually it means
maybe
that,
it would be a good
but
idea.
it's a really good idea because
Would you do it?
Well, if I didn't want to have kids and my partner did, I'd be putting that gel on. So that's
the thing is, but the thing is, I mean, you know, we're talking biology. You know, men can. I mean, forgive me, Wilfred. I'm not going to be insensitive to ask your amazing age.
66.
But men can go. You could have kids now.
God
would
forbid.
you? Would
I'll
you?
be putting the gel on then. If that was the case,
gel on.
I'd put the gel on.
Sorry, the point that I was trying to make is that when we asked the general population, women, whether they would be happy for the man to take responsibility for contraception, nearly 70% said yes. When you said it was a daily contraception, much like the pill, it was a gel, it dropped down far less, it halved in fact. Now, is that because women don't trust the men in their lives, so they don't trust men in general to be responsible? In which case, why on earth do we keep voting men into the top jobs?
Well, that's a very good question, Storm.
So, do you think that it's a societal view on men?
Well, I think there's two things here. I thought it was the actual method. I think perhaps maybe men feel more comfortable with pills, or maybe women feel more comfortable with the pills than just a gel. I mean, I would feel very comfortable with a gel. But certainly there is that stereotype like that. I was thinking about Daddy Pig. I don't know if, you know, like Peppa Pig. And Daddy Pig, he's the stereotype that's like, you know, really hapless and stupid and crass. And actually, I think we need to get away from that sexist kind of.
But it's women's fault, though.
Oh, is it our fault? It's our fault!
We've got a man on the phone, which is fabulous. Trevor from East Sussex, what do you think? Would you take this?
If I were a woman, I wouldn't trust a man to take a contraceptive pill at all.
Why?
Because men are well known for being egotistical, liars, and unreliable.
Oh,
now,
why do you
a woman
keep them as Prime Minister?
That's another thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but you see what I'm saying? On the one hand, we're happy for men to take charge of things, but on the other hand, that we're not. Why would you trust a woman to take the contraceptive pill?
Well, it's a woman is the bearer of the child, and if she doesn't want a child, then if I was a woman, that would be my responsibility.
Yes.
And I absolutely wouldn't put that under the... Yeah, sorry.
Trevor, what if she did want a child and she lied and she told you she didn't really want a child and she was on the pill in order to get pregnant?
Well, that's something else. It does happen.
Oh, it happens.
But, yes, what would happen, there would be a child...
and that would be your responsibility, Trevor. That would be money out your account every month.
If I had a child, whether it was wanted or not, that responsibility I would accept wholeheartedly.
Exactly, which is why I think this is fabulous that you can now take responsibility and make the decisions for yourself.